The Indianapolis Colts had their work cut out for them heading into the 2023 NFL Draft. There was all the smoke screens. Oh, everybody's going to trade up above the Colts. It's going to be this whole thing. And they still ended up with Anthony Richardson. I consider that a win. Yes, the guy that has probably the most talent in this draft in terms of arm strength, athleticism, size, all of it. Like, he really is going to be, I think he could be a very good player if he puts all these things together, if and when. Okay, I'll be kind. Anyway, but today, I think throughout the rest of the draft class, really for me is where you're going to be most impressed with the Colts. And yes, today we're going to grade their entire 2023 NFL draft class. And without further ado, we're just going to get into it. So here we go. Yes, starts with Anthony Richardson, over 2,500 passing yards for the Gators last year, 17 touchdowns, 9 picks. Also had 654 rushing yards, 654. You got to love it. 9 touchdowns on the ground. Like, he is a very much of a dynamic playmaker, excuse me if I could talk today, that I'm really excited about. Now, again, obviously Gardner Minshew's there. He's going to do his thing. But Anthony Richardson, I think there's an understanding in the building that he's going to come in and do his thing. He's just going to do Anthony Richardson things. Not a lot you can do in that situation. So I'm really excited about it. You can get nothing but give this one an A in this one. It's nothing else you could give it. In the second round, the Colts got Julius Brents coming up out of Kansas State. 45 total tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 4 picks, and a 75.5 PFF coverage grade. This dude is a flippin' condor. Like 6'4", long arms, can run, ran a 4.5 at the combine. Like, this dude checks all the boxes. Quite honestly, I think that, it's not even that he was that bad in coverage. I think that some people just kind of looked at, the 4.5 speed. That might be a little bit slow if you're a corner, but I don't think so. So I think he probably should have been a first-round draft pick, but it is what it is. This is also a very deep corner class, so it is what it is. But I was really excited for Julius Brents because I think he's going to be a fantastic addition to the Colts. Didn't they get like 2 or 3? Yeah, they got 3 corners in this draft, and he's going to be probably the best one that you get here in the second round. So really like the value, really like the pick. Yes, he's going to be an absolute stud. In the third round, the Colts selected Josh Downs, the wide receiver coming up out of North Carolina. This dude's a blazer. 94 catches and 1,029 yards and 11 touchdowns for the Tar Heels last year. I think he's going to be one of those guys that you already got a big guy in Michael Pittman. You got a guy now like Josh Downs that's going to be on the inside. And yes, he's going to be working the slot. He's going to be helping to stretch the field. I'm really excited for him. I think he's going to be a solid addition, especially in the third round. You want to talk about value? That's value. So later on, and by the way, yes, you give that one an A. Your first 3 picks here, you give an A. No question in my mind, absolutely not. Then in the fourth round, they got Blake Freeland, the tackle coming up out of BYU. 890 snaps last year, no sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and 4 hurries, and overall finished with a 90.9 PFF grade. I think Blake Freeland could be something special. Whether it's guard or tackle, it really doesn't matter to me. I think he could be a guy that, as a fourth round find, if you kind of just go over some of the finer details, if you can kind of coach some of these technical things up with him, I think he could be a really good I don't want to say steal necessarily because fourth round really isn't he was kind of I think he was supposed to go in that range anyway, but overall Freeland, he is a guy that is pretty tantalizing. Didn't allow a sack last year, and I think he can carry that over into the NFL. Still in the fourth round, A and A, what up? I'm not going to say A, but Adetonomia Adebare, whatever, coming up at Northwestern. This dude blew up the combine. Literally ran a 4.49 at 280 pounds, getting all of the comparisons to guys like Aaron Donald. And this guy's going to be a lot of fun. 38 tackles last year for Northwestern, 9 tackles for loss, and 5 sacks. 80.3 PFF pass rush grade. Can you imagine what he's going to do with the rest of this defensive tackle room for the Colts? This is not going to be good. This dude he's an uber athlete, can play inside and outside. Maybe you can try him at outside linebacker. That's how fast he is. So I'm really excited for him. I think he's going to get after the passer. This is an A in my mind, no question. In the fifth round, the Colts somehow got Darius Rush, the tall, speedy corner coming up out of South Carolina. 38 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 picks, and an 80.3 PFF pass coverage grade. I'm excited for Darius Rush. I felt like he really did himself a lot of favors, whether it was at the combine, and last year for the Gamecocks, he was a guy that, obviously it's pretty tough to go against a guy like Cam Smith, but Darius Rush was pretty respectable in his own right. I love the pick, gave it a B+ overall because I felt like there were some other corners and stuff on the board, but I mean, it is what it is. Probably not as good as Rush. Probably could give this a pick, an A in my mind, but you probably could give it an A. Maybe I'm nitpicking here, but later on you got Daniel Scott, this safety coming up out of California. He reminds me a lot of Cam Bynum from the Vikings, like 80 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 3 picks, and a 69.4 PFF grade, pass rush or pass coverage grade, excuse me. He's a guy that, he can kind of do it all, and he's pretty athletic, ran a 4.4 at the combine. So, I mean, he's going to be pretty interesting. I do question, like, is he a corner? Is he a safety? Like, I feel like he's got some versatility there, too. So, I don't think you just plug him in at safety. I think you see where else he can play. And then you got Will Mallory, in the 5th round, the 3 out of 4 5th-round picks that we're going over here out of Miami. 42 catches, 538 yards, and 3 touchdowns last year. He's a guy that, quite honestly, this is such a deep tight end class. He's kind of a steal here in the 5th round. I think he could do a lot of things for the Colts that already have a lot of good tight ends, but it is what it is. Evan Hull out of Northwestern joins his teammate here at Abarrier, and 221 carries last year, 915 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I really like him as a kind of a scat back, a backup back to, what they have already in a guy like Taylor. So, I'm really excited about him. I'm really excited what he's going to bring with Jonathan Taylor next year because he can be a really good find. And then this is where the Colts got interesting. So they got edge Titus Leo out of Wagner College. I believe he's a D2 guy. 65 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. He's very lengthy. He only weighs about 245, 250 pounds, but he's athletic. There's a lot of tools here that you could really use. I still think you could have gotten this guy in, round 7, maybe as a UDFA, but it is what it is. But, getting him here in the 6th round, it makes some sense. He's a guy that's quite honestly very athletic, and he's got a lot of things going for him, so it's not necessarily a shock, but could you have got him a little later? Probably. So, but hey, I love the pick, and I feel like he's going to be a guy that you have on the practice squad for a year or two, and then you go from there. Then a little bit later on in the 7th round, Jalen Jones, the cornerback, coming up out of Texas A&M. He was a guy that, quite honestly, he's got all the length and everything that you want. I just do wonder, how soon it is going to be for him to put everything together. But I do think that the tools are there. Getting him in the 7th round, great value, and you go from there. Then the man of the hour, Jake Witt, the tackle coming up out of Northern Michigan University. He's a small school prospect because I couldn't find any stats on him, but you got to keep your eye on him because So his, I believe it was his junior year, he was playing tight end. You guys got to look up his story on The Athletic. It's absolutely amazing. But he was playing tight end for Northern Michigan after being a college basketball player that averaged like 7 points. He was actually pretty good as a freshman, but then he transferred to Northern Michigan here and was an absolute stud. Like literally was, 280 pounds after he bulked up, and he ran. Then he had at his pro day, it was like 307 and ran like a 4.8. So this dude's uber athletic. Hasn't played the position for very long. Literally played tight end the year before in his junior season, and then came back and played a tackle. So there's a lot of physical tools here that you're really excited about. I think it's fantastic value too. I meant to, this one's not a B. This one's an A because this is what the 7th round is for. UDFA guys are for, is you take a chance on these guys that have the athletic traits. Maybe with some coaching they could be something special. You just never know until you give it a shot. So I love the Jake Witt pick here because I think he's going to be a fantastic find. At the very worst, if he's a backup tackle that you got in the 7th round that has a lot of athletic traits, hey, that works for me. I think he's going to do a lot of good things for the Colts. Yes, I do love the pick. But overall, you give this one an A. From getting your future franchise quarterback to getting help along the cornerback room, as well as Blake Freeland, wide receiver Josh Downs. Like this was just a fantastic draft for the Colts. They just top to bottom, they did a very fantastic job. It's an A, no question in my mind. But let us know what you guys think, and make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. Greatly appreciate all you guys' support and everything. You guys are all truly awesome. We love every single one of you. Down in the description below, you'll find all of our social media platforms. So give us a like and a follow there. Also remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put in the comment section down below. We would love to cover. But let us know what you guys think about our grading of the 2023 Indianapolis Colts draft class.